have here with us today Devyani, who's going to be on chat with us. And the occasion is the Fashion Colloquia. We're going to be talking on responsible fashion. We're going to be talking about sustainability, ethical fashion. We're going to be looking at conscious living and why clothing is an important aspect of our life when we talk about conscious clothing and conscious living. And so the Fashion Colloquia is lined up from 26th to 30th of January. And 26th and 27th, we have an association with the Jaipur Literature Festival, and we're bringing a fashion show and a conversation on heritage, stories of change, our shared future with an eminent ace designer, Manish Malhotra, and Professor Ian King and Professor Anik from Europe. And 28th and 29th, we're going to have 80 plus speakers, 60 plus researchers who are going to be sharing their conversations regarding responsible fashion, the new technologies, the emerging paradigms, looking at the disruption that's really taking place in the world, what are the new innovations, and does our heritage really hold any meaning to us? If it does, then what is it going to be like? So here we have this young woman, Devyani Kapoor, who is really doing something meaningful in the space of ethical fashion. So we're going to have Devyani here with us right now.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Devyani. Interesting.
Hi.
So I was just sharing that temperature here is early this morning was 2 degrees and Mumbai is 27 degrees. Yeah.
I'm in Delhi right now, and it's foggy all around. You can't see anything outside.
Yep. And so is it here, very close to our campus. While I left home, it was pretty clear. So I'm sure you're enjoying the Delhi cold as well. And
Absolutely. Yeah. And this time it's gone a little more colder, so I think everybody is feeling the chills, but it's nice.
Right. So, Devyani, I've been looking at your profile and getting to see your store, the shuffling suitcase that you do. Interesting work that you're doing, and the color palette and the clothing that I could see in your store was something that I really felt that I should be there to pick up something for myself. Yeah.
We'll get it for you in Jaipur for sure. We were planning to do something in Jaipur very soon, so maybe let's do that.
Yeah. I'm all there for it. And while you've been talking about conscious living, what all is there when you're talking about conscious living? Definitely clothing is second skin to us, right? And when we talk about clothes, especially a person like me, I completely, the day, the mood, everything is the way you wear, you dress up, the way you feel that, it's you that day with your clothes on. So while you've been talking about conscious living, where is your brand really talking about? What is the kind of concept that you're trying to bring forth?
So to start with, what I am doing here, I started as anybody else, would be wearing anything and everything that you get off the racks at the mall, anywhere and everywhere. But the education of understanding how important conscious living is and how fashion is the biggest part of your life came to me about 3 years ago, where I completely moved to a slow fashion life, where I completely gave up on fast fashion. It's been more than 3 years for me. So I think where we start from is the education part of knowing what is it. Mm-hmm. So right now, what a lot of people are missing is this education. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure through you, through me, and a lot of people who are working towards, consciousness, people are slowly getting educated about what it actually means and how it's impacting our lives. Mm-hmm. So to start with, conscious living as a whole has all the aspects. It covers everything from what you eat to what you wear to how you're living to your decor to everything. So an understanding of how you are depleting your resources, of how you are wasting what you've been given, is basically what conscious living means to me. And that's what I try and do from my brand, both from shuffling suitcases and from my personal blog, which is Prevalquent. So the understanding and the education to people to understand that this is the right way of living and this is the right way of dressing up. When we talk about fashion, a lot of people say fashion is the second largest polluter, which is actually not the correct fact. Mm-hmm. It is not. Okay. It's the biggest polluter. Mm-hmm. So, to understand that your wardrobe is ending up taking lives of so many people. Mm-hmm. So the understanding, I think, is missing in the youth of today. And if you go back to the times of our parents, our grandparents, they would keep on reusing the clothes. They would keep on re-wearing the clothes, Unlike how we do today, we wear a garment, let's say 3 times, and then it's out of fashion. And then you say, hey, I don't want to wear this because it's no more in fashion. But if you go back and you see that our parents and our grandparents were actually living a conscious lifestyle, what they were eating. Like today we say, hey, I want to go to an organic market because I want to know where my food is coming from. Perfect, do that. But you also do that for fashion. You try and know who's making your clothes, where are they coming from? Who is that person behind, knitting your fabric, on weaving your fabric? You don't know that. So I think that is the understanding that the youth of today is missing. And me, through my brand and a lot of brands that I work with, that's what we're trying to do today. So we're trying to educate people to understand that this is the need of the hour, and if you deplete your resources and you increase your carbon footprint, you won't be left with anything.
Perfect. I resonate with so much what you're saying because, while we are bringing the Arch College here is bringing the Fashion Colloquia, we are opening the 3rd series on responsible future. The idea is, again, when we talk about a country or a nation like India, and we all believe that our heritage was a zero waste economy kind of living that we always lived into, where our people really valued what they had, and that would be passed on from generations to generations, and every piece was like a possession, like a piece of jewelry when it came to even clothing. So today with the whole fast fashion business, definitely it's really fading away, where fashion is something that you've really made it so aspirational that the colors, whether the color trends or the fabric trends, people are just getting caught up in that whole space and not realizing the impact that it's having on the environment and to our lives as well, right? Because that's a very good thing when you said that we are the textile industry is the largest polluter, but not the polluter. I think probably people are always trying to see something outside of themselves, that pollution is something that's happening outside of themselves. It's a very great insight that you've given, that actually pollution is happening to us. Yeah, it's not the production cycle. In the supply chain.
To be blamed. I mean, what you're eating and what you're wearing, if we start that change from ourselves, I think we would have done, a lot from us. So people come to me and they say, hey, so if I stop wearing fast fashion, will it actually affect the environment? Would I be able to do something? Because it's a very small, step towards sustainable. Why not? If each one of us starts thinking that way and we start reducing the wardrobe, today when people tell me, who's your biggest competitor? It's actually fast fashion. What I am and you are working towards is getting that wardrobe space in each and everybody's lifestyle, where we try and reduce the fast fashion and where we try and increase the conscious fashion, where people know what they're buying and they treasure what they're buying. Because at the end of the day, like you said, you started with, that it's the first fabric that touches your body. So we need to know where it's coming from. We need to know the authenticity. We need to know who are the people behind it, and we need to treasure what we are wearing.
I was asked by a very senior professor from the West, and I said, what's so special about India? Why are you so, passionate about what you have and what's there in your wardrobe? I said, consciousness is something that our clothing has, because the human touch, the connect, the humanness of, having being woven, constructed, cotton to your wardrobe is something that's so special about, about slow fashion. And when you're really buying something that's really fast, you really don't value it. It's like a use and throw kind of a culture.
Absolutely.
I think somewhere, I think you're great when you're saying that, we really need to change mindsets, because talking about slow fashion is not about an industry movement. It's about a people's movement. And I see that, changing mindsets is something that's really important when we are actually in the space of looking at sustainable businesses. Beautiful.
I think any revolution starts from there. You need to change the way people think. You need to change the way people understand a certain revolution, and that's where you start from. So both from your end and my end, I think what is the need of the hour that I've seen in the past 3 years of working with sustainable brands is that people don't understand. And when we see the people from the West coming to India and appreciating what we are already doing and spending so much on that, I mean, it actually makes me feel sad that, we as people who treasure, this is ours, right? Whatever you get in Jaipur, let's say a block print, it's ours to treasure, but we don't want to spend that much. We will go and we'll bargain. But when people from the West are going to come here, they spend as much and then they take it back. So I think what we have is what we need to start treasuring, need to understand that this belongs to us, and we don't need to deplete that. We need to take this forward and let the next generation also know that this is something which is ours to keep.
So while you're talking about the generation, and I have been dealing with the youth for the last 20 years, and I remember I also started with just 2 rooms for my residence. And it's been a journey where, I've seen young people, the way they have evolved in terms of understanding design.
Yeah.
Today when we look at, there was a stigma around fashion. Now, when you look at fashion, I think everybody wants to embrace it, yet they don't want to acknowledge it. So I think, the fashion industry has a huge struggle. I think why a lot of that voice and that the aspiration is probably trying to create that we as human beings are probably not acknowledging the contribution of the industry as well. So I think even the fast fashion was something that was probably required maybe for this real experience of really understanding that you really need to value what you really had. So that's, I think,
the biggest example right now is when you talk about the H&Ms of the world, and I love to take the names of the brands. So I'm also quite known for naming people out.
Okay.
But that's all right. You have to be honest. When you say transparency, let's be absolutely transparent about what we're talking. So when you talk about the H&Ms of the world and the Zaras of the world, why are they going bankrupt? Why are they saying that, hey, we're going to shut down? There is a reason, because I think sustainability as a movement has really taken over, and because the brands are now having, let's say, a conscious line. H&M started with a conscious line, which, if you ask me, completely is zero when it comes to being conscious. But okay, that's a step that they have taken, that understood that this is where the market is bending. So let me also get into the rat race of being sustainable or calling myself conscious. So, when these bigger brands are understanding that, hey, this is what people want, so let's start doing it. So I don't see any reason why we are left behind. When the H&Ms of the world and Zaras of the world have bowed down to the revolution. And I think it's time that we all join hands and we take this forward and we understand this is ours to keep and treasure.
Perfect. I think, you really have that voice, which I think, a lot of young people need to have. And I think when I look at people and just wearing those t-shirts and the jeans, and I feel, the whole sense of identity is what we're losing on. And identity not for the sake of having an identity. Identity that can actually enlighten the other person, that when we go to cultures, we went to Europe, people brought the best of stuff from there. People bought the best of stuff from there because that was hand-created, handcrafted from that particular nation. And it's not about being Indian or European, I think we all in our cultures have the goods in us. And I think with the whole world becoming so flat, I think somewhere we are losing on that character of really being ourselves, And I think it's an opportunity. I think the whole slow fashion movement, the conscious living movement is an opportunity for us to revisit in terms of who we are rather than just looking at outside, what's outside of us. So understanding that, you've been taking all these trunk shows all over the place, and you've been taking on a lot of pop-ups in terms of the people who are into sustainability. How do you really examine, because see what looks like really in the background, is it truly circular? So how do you do that kind of, evaluation in terms of the brands when you look at them?
So, I'll be again very honest and I'll tell you that people, and when I say people, I mean brands, have taken over the bandwagon of calling themselves sustainable because, hey, that's the need of the hour, or that is what is trending, or that is what is the fad. So when you go to an Instagram profile or a Facebook profile of brands today, let's say a 50 out of a 60 would say sustainable or conscious or ethical, because that's the fad. So to understand who actually is sustainable from the entire lot which is available to you is a struggle that we've been struggling with since the day we started, and it's been more than 2.5 years now. So how we function here is we have a certain questionnaire that we've prepared after a lot of research of what we want our brand to take forward, represent. So we've made a questionnaire which only and only if you are a sustainable brand will you be able to answer that.
Wow.
So let's say you are a brand who is not sustainable, but you're calling yourself sustainable and you want to become a part of shuffling suitcases. We send you that questionnaire and we give you all the time in the world to fill it up and come back to us.
Okay.
I've seen myself, a lot of brands would say, hey, I want to be a part of it. Take me. So I'm like, okay, cool. We will take you. Here's the questionnaire. Fill it up and come back, and we will take it from there.
Lovely.
They just leave it. They
Wow.
never come back.
Awesome.
So because to be as transparent as a brand, where you're telling me how much are you paying your career, or showing me the process on a video of how your weaving is done, or how your fabric is it comes to the actual garment.
Beautiful.
People don't want to be as transparent. Telling me what is the kind of a condition that your carigars are working under. How much are you paying them? Are you taking care of their family? Are you doing something extra for them? They just run away.
Yeah, good.
So we've also learned it, on the go that, hey, calling yourself sustainable is not enough.
Yep.
You have to be transparent. In fact, I'll tell you something. There have been a lot of brands who I am very closely related to now, because they've been a part of family for about 2 years now. They were so transparent from day one that they told me, any day that you want to come to a manufacturing unit, give us a surprise visit. We are open to that. And I actually do that. Once in a while, I actually just walk into a unit and I'm like, hey, okay, show me. So what you do, And you know that they're transparent because they're letting you into a space which is so personal to them. And they're okay letting you know who are the carigars. They're okay with you speaking to the carigars. So that proves that they're very transparent when it comes to, doing what they're doing. So it is a lot of effort. It is a lot of research. It is a lot of time spent. But what comes out of it is it's sustainable fashion.
True. So, Devyani, while you already know there are a lot of design schools which are emerging now, and now every university has started a design department. Everybody's wanting to get onto the bandwagon of having fashion as a course because, it seems interesting. They can also become a part of that glamour world if the moment you start a course in fashion. So now I see there's more challenge because where are these youngsters going to find their feet? And what is that's going to be really important for them? I really want you, because you are young, you've just been 3 years, you started this thing and you have a voice, and I can really see that you you really feel for it and you really have that passion for it. So what is that is really important in terms of institutions who are imparting education or learners who are taking on, if once they move out or while they're still on the course, what are the right kind of steps they need to take into, or what they need to factor into that, so that they have a sustainable career? Because today careers options are going to be challenging too, because things are so disruptive. There are not many brands are still working into sustainability. They are small because because they can't mass produce.
No, of course. So I get called to a lot of colleges to come and speak to their, the children who have just started their college and they're in the first year. It gives me so much pleasure to go and speak to them because they've just come out of college, out of school, and the choice that they've made for themselves is a sustainable fashion career. So I feel what is very important for all these institutions is first the transparency of knowing the why of what they're doing. If you're actually here to impart education to these kids, walk with them. Walk them through the entire idea of sustainability. Start from a very late question like, what is slow fashion, or where is the need of slow fashion? Because right now, we've been discussing that it's become a fad. So people want to join it for, hey, because it's cool, everybody's talking about sustainability. So I will also become a sustainable fashion entrepreneur or whatever. But do they actually know why they are here? And that will only happen when people like you, people like me, and I'm sure your brilliant faculty will walk them through what it actually means and where will it lead them.
So, I understand that faculty plays a very important role, but what I strongly feel is a upbringing within our own family system. Because I remember where I picked on sustainability was not in the classroom. It was from my family. It is homes that need to understand that our legacy is what we need to, build on.
That is very true. I partly agree with you here, and I'll tell you where the difference is, because I meet these children day in and day out, and they come in the shop with me. Some of them will come wearing a Zara t-shirt but walk out buying that, hey, do you even know what you're wearing? Do you even know what it actually means to be wearing a Zara t-shirt? And when you show them the reality, that's where sustainability starts. But in a lot of our homes, and I see parents also who accompany their children, or parents who come to shop from me, they themselves are not aware.
Correct.
Because a lot of households, they know they're following sustainable fashion, but they don't know it's called sustainability. Like I said, our grandparents, our parents, my parents have been re-wearing clothes. But today when I talk about sustainability, they say, hey, we don't know what sustainability is, but yeah, we've been doing what you're saying, what you want us to do. So I think the sheer education of knowing what you're doing is called being conscious is what is missing. And if we start doing this in our homes, and we start from the day the kid is born, and when the day the kid starts speaking, I think that's where it starts from. But if it doesn't, then people like you and me and the faculty is there to help them.
Right. So one thing that I understand is, consider that they've understood all this and they understand the slow fashion thing, and they have to take up a career now. They've moved out.
True.
So what are the tips that you would like to give these youngsters, to follow those steps to make sure that they can continue to build a career in this space?
One thing that I tell everybody, new people who come and who speak to me for consultancy also is, yes, we are all here to make money. That is what sustains us. But understand it is a very slow process. When you become a part of the revolution, it's a very slow process. It's taken us years to come here, and for me also to be able to understand and to start talking about it. So don't be in a hurry. Like, if you're not mass producing, then don't be in a hurry of mass making money. Or sustaining yourself. It's going to take a while. You might want to shut down what you're doing because of so many challenges that you will face. But sustaining and being at it is the key, and trust me, you will make it through. So be at it and know what you're doing, why you're doing, what is the reason behind you following a sustainable fashion or a living or whatever. But stay at it. That is the key.
Beautiful.
Because it's a very slow process, and the revolution is just kicked on. It's going to take a while, but I'm sure we'll reach there.
Beautiful. So you saying that drive is important. So the purpose is very important. And then the perseverance is important, because to stay on, you need the perseverance to, and because youngsters are looking at fast money, want to buy brands, they want to be all the place.
Everything, yeah.
So you have to give up a lot of things, huh?
With all the WhatsApp and the iMessages, where in a second you reach out a message to the other person, with the FOMO and the YOLO, I think we need to slow down. We really need to slow down.
Beautiful. Thank you, Devyani. I think it was very interesting that the youngsters who've actually heard your conversation, I think for them, you are youth icon to really look forward to. And congratulations for all the great work that you're doing. And we would be happy to have you during the Colloquium year. So because we've got some amazing researchers that are coming in.
I would love to do that, but in the other news, I'm getting married in Jaipur at the same time. So.
Wow. What date?
Yes. So I'm going to be there on the 7th and 8th, but then the preparations start way earlier. So, chose Jaipur to get married, and that's what is happening right
now. So you're going to be moving into Jaipur now?
I won't be moving, but I'm getting married then and then.
It's like a destination wedding, huh?
Yeah.
So
I'd love to come and meet you guys, and maybe let's take the revolution forward, and whatever I can do from my end, I would love to do that.
Sure. But do see if you can manage it on the 28th and 29th of Jan. It would be great, because you would love to chat with people from across the globe who have a different perspective. Because people across the globe I was sitting at the University of Antwerp in one of the conversations in a summer school program, and I could see faculty and companies purely talking about buy less. And that was something that was really new for me, that the Western world talking about buying less. So, and when we started with Who Made My Clothes. Yeah.
And
so
all the best to you, and thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Devyani. Look forward. Bye.